I think one of the few interesting things about that whole thing was it was what got me into website creation for music. So I had when the internet came in, and you could reasonably easily buy web space. I think I was desperate to get a web presence, but not entirely sure what to do with it. So the initial idea was to create a website for the Pooheads, and obviously put all my songs up on online and be discovered and make $1 million and not have to work anymore. And anyway, the latter part of that sentence never happened, but the former did. So I was able to get a website on the go pretty early, in fact, when the dot-com bubble was still a bubble. In March 9th in 2000, I think, was when the website was first up. And it's funny how the economics have changed completely, because the cost of buying the URL and the web space was horrendously expensive. I mean, so you could only afford a little bit of web space. So I couldn't afford 2 URLs. So the Kirkcaldy Bands project was beginning to come into my mind about that time. I couldn't afford a URL for both the Pooheads and Kirkcaldy Bands, so I had to choose which one I was going to have. So sadly, I chose the Pooheads. So when Kirkcaldy Bands was created, it was kind of lumped in with the domain name thepooheads.com. So people had to kind of navigate into that to find it. I have very fond memories of the Pooheads, and I wish we'd had a more sensible name looking back on it, because some of our stuff wasn't bad. Some of it was pretty bad, I must admit. We did some interesting things. A country and western version of Black Sabbath's Paranoid is one that I'm particularly fond of. Lots of experimenting by me just writing songs and realising that I could write songs after years of just doing bits and pieces. So that was nice. And it got me into the Kirkcaldy Band's website, and that was kind of the actual genesis of that project, was wanting a web presence, not sure what to do with the web presence, and then creating the website for the Pooheads, and then kind of lumping in the Kirkcaldy Band's idea, and then that kind of was the idea that sustained and still on the go today. The internet and technology changed everything. I think it is fascinating these days that, I mean, anybody can be a filmmaker, anybody can be a music maker, anybody can be a photojournalist if you use blogger.com, or a camera phone photojournalist, and go out and broadcast your stuff to the world. And it's created a lot of garbage as well as a lot of good stuff. So the trick is to try to find the good stuff through the garbage. And the classic, when I say this statement, the classic example that pops into my head is that if you do a search on YouTube for Kirkcaldy, there's this little clip that's had so many plays. It amazes me how many plays this clip's had, and it's basically a bunch of drunk guys walking down the high street shouting, "Kirkcaldy pub crawl, Kirkcaldy pub crawl." And I'm thinking, what a waste of cyberspace, it's terrible really, but it amazes me that talking about when Pooheads.com went up, it was so expensive, and now basically YouTube's free, and the cost of storage is so little now that you can put all this garbage up. But what's interesting as well is that I'm hoping that what we're proving in the web projects that we're doing just now is that the technology enables you to do a lot of interesting things as well, and the real trick is, and maybe certainly improve to do this, is to find the good stuff from the rubbish. And so it's a real power of enabling. I mean, I'd never have been able to do recording on my own, and I've written a few songs actually on this, using this machine here, and some equipment I've got here, actually a little solo project, and I've been a little distracted from that project because Kirkcaldy Bands has been so much work over the last few months. But my view of the technology and internet in particular is that it's a great enabling force in terms of musicians, and it can amplify a little bit of talent you have to actually create something that sounds like almost a finished piece of music. It's amazing, and you can get your film or your ideas or your music out to a global audience in seconds. So it's fascinating stuff, and I can't wait to see what the future holds with this technology. Well, what I think I've been blown away by the interest levels in the Kirkcaldy Bands project, and really gratified by the amount of people helping me with it. I think what I'd like to do is do a larger documentary, and this little test film is really part one of hopefully a much larger project, and this will hopefully teach me how to work the software. And I remember my dad was a great biker in the 60s. He had lots of British motorbikes. Aerial Leader, I remember, was one bike he had, was called. And I remember him buying his first motorbike for 20 years when he just turned 40, and I just turned 40 a year and a half ago, so I kind of think of Kirkcaldy bands as a bit like my motorbike. You know, I'm terrified of motorbikes, so I wouldn't go near one. But the website's a little bit like you know, a bunch of 40-somethings reliving their past, and that's good. I mean, I'm loving every second of it, but you can't live in the past. So I'd like to really enhance it, make it the definitive place for where all this music's going to live forever. You know, uncovering unheard of demos, or demos that have been unheard for 20 years, and archiving them on this site.